Hello, my name is Chloe, welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing to you the Spaceman Book Tag. So this tag was created by Rachel over at Rachel Kerris. She will obviously be linked in the description along with the original tag video, which is hers, that's what I meant. But yeah, I saw one of my bestest Booktube friends put up a tag and I could not do it. I have listened to this album. It's not my favourite thing in the world, but I definitely don't hate it. I think some of the songs are interesting. And I really liked Rachel's tag. I want to support her, so I thought I would do it anyway, even though I'm not a die-hard fan, and I would definitely like to convince you guys to do it too. Rachel did post her tag about a month ago now, so I am a little bit slow on getting to it. I hope that's okay. But the first one, sorry if I'm looking down at my notes, is Don't Give Up On Us. I won't be posting in clips of the song. I don't know how to do that and not get copyright on my video, so we're not going to do it. But it's Don't Give Up On Us, What is a Second Chance Book? And I'm going to be a bit weird with this one. This is a book that at this point I haven't even reviewed on my channel yet, but I've gone for Harrow Lake by Ellis. So I read this in April and I've given it 3 stars. And I already consider this a second chance book because I will be holding on to it and picking it up again maybe this year in like spooky season, or leave it till the year after, because this did not scare me at all. It had some very spooky elements that I felt should have scared me, but I don't know whether it was the mood I was in when I picked this up that I just wasn't open to being scared. So I want to give it another go and see if I get scared by it. This is about Lola, who goes to the town of Harrow Lake, which is where her dad, who is a movie producer, director, it is where he filmed the film Nightjar, that's what it's called. And there is a creepy dude that lives under the town called Mr. Jitters. It's very creepy. It has the vibes, but I wasn't scared. So I'm already considering it a second chance book. Next, we have Heights, What Was a Slow Burn Romance. I've gone for The Bride Test by Helen Huang. This is the not sequel, but sequel to The Kiss Quotient, and the third book, The Heart Principle, will be coming out very soon. I want to say it's August, but they can all be read individually. But I read this in one day towards the end of last year. I nearly just hit myself with it. And it is just such a fun time. Taylor Jenkins Reid says, smart, honest, and achingly romantic, just as sexy as it is sweet. I agree with that. So this is about Kai, who doesn't have any feelings. He thinks feelings are defective. And his mother flies in Esme, who is a girl living in the slums of Ho Chi Minh City. I hope I've said that right. And her mom flies her into America to live with Kai and become his wife. He doesn't really have any say in it. Well, he has no say in it. She is kind of just given this opportunity and decides to go for it. She's smitten, absolutely obsessed with him, and doesn't think he can return her affection. So I think this is a really, really good book. It was definitely a 5-star for me, and I cannot wait for The Heart Principle. Next we have Spaceman, and the prompt is, what is your favourite standalone? This was a very hard judgment to make. I feel like I have a lot of favourite standalones, but I've gone for A Quiet Kind of Thunder by Sarah Bernard. This was my first Sarah Bernard book and it was a definite 5-star for me. This is about Steffi and Reese. Steffi is mute, she doesn't talk, and Reese is deaf, he can't hear, but they can understand each other perfectly. They strike up a bit of a romantic relationship, and that's kind of obvious from the start. And it's a YA contemporary, we know where it's gonna go, but it says, sometimes a whisper is as good as a shout. This one really hit home for me because I did not speak to any adults at all, including teachers, until I was about 7, I want to say. So at least the ages of 4 to 7, I did not speak. And I have very, very vivid memories of people being really, adults getting really agitated and really angry at me, and it didn't help the situation at all. And there are definitely elements of that in here where Steffi, she wants to speak, and she's a lot older than I was at that situation. She's like 16, 17, 18, around that age, I can't actually remember, and she's getting that sort of annoyance towards her that I remember so vividly, and it really struck home for me, and I found this so interesting. There is mixed media in here as well, which I found of the other Sarah Bernard book I've read, so we have some text messages, and it was just such a lovely time. So cute, and there is a lot of sign language pointed out through this book, which I appreciated. Next is Too Drunk, a book that gave you a book hangover, and I've gone for A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas. I feel like this is a typical answer to a question like this, but this book really did give me a book hangover. I really didn't know what was going to top this after I read it. War nearly did it, but it didn't. This, if you are somehow unaware, is the second book of the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. It is a absolute whopper, saying that, okay, it's like 620 pages, so it's not a massive book, but it's definitely chunky. I read through this, I did annotate it and highlighted it, all of the stuff I loved. I'm trying not to spoil anything with the amount of highlighting I've done in some of them. Pink is romance, and there's just a pink line running down the sides of all these pages. It was an amazing time, and I will never stop recommending this series, because I think even if you don't absolutely love A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury just destroyed me. Next we have Delicious, a book that deserves more hype, and I've gone for Revolution by Jennifer Donnelly. I have never heard anybody else talk about this book. I rave about it very occasionally, but I haven't reread it since March of 2018, so maybe I need to reread it soon. This came out in 2010, so it's not that old, and I just think it's an absolutely gorgeous story. So this is about Andy, who lives in present-day New York, dealing with the aftermath of her brother's accidental death. And she finds old journals, I believe, I can't even remember exactly, and goes back into the time of Alexandrine, who lives in Paris and is desperately trying to save a young boy from the ravages of the French Revolution. Their paths collide as Andy unlocks a route into the past which might just hold the key to reconciling herself to her own history and her future. A romantic, utterly engrossing story of two girls, two boys, and the heart-wrenching thread that binds them together across the centuries. Sorry, the doorbell went as I was talking. But yeah, I've never heard anyone else talk about this. I think it's absolutely amazing. I don't do historical fiction, and I really know nothing apart from what I've learned in this book about the French Revolution, but I definitely want to reread it soon, and I feel like I need to find more people who've read it. The next one is This Is Heaven, and the prompt is a book you loved so much that you didn't want it to end, and I've gone for Crave by Tracy Wolfe. This might be an odd choice for this, but this was so much fun. This is a Twilight ripoff, effectively. It is so cheesy, it's so cringy, and I absolutely loved it. This is about Grace, who goes to a school for the supernatural, and everybody but Grace knows it's a school for the supernatural. She's so oblivious, she has absolutely no idea. There is a guy at this school, it's very obvious what he is, but he gives her a copy of Twilight to help her understand, and it was so cheesy, so cringy, 5 stars, loved it. I know that this is not the best written, best imagined piece of literary work ever, but I loved it so much that I splashed out and got Crush very soon after, which I haven't actually read yet, but I'm on the lookout for the hardback of Covet, I can't even say it, which is book number 3, and the final one will be coming out at the end of this year, so I just love this. The next one is Sexual, a book that gets you hot under the collar. Wow, I've written down cover. I think she said collar. But anyway, I've gone for Falling for the Cowboy by Kennedy Fox. I could have gone for Den of Vipers by K.A. Knight. That was also a contender. But this is a very short romance about a cowboy called Colton. If you are unaware, my boyfriend is an American redneck called Colton. I know rednecks and cowboys are not the same thing, but there are some things that he does in this that just makes me think of Cole so much. Then I pretended it was Cole, I will not lie. This is very steamy. We know exactly where it's going. The sexual tension is amazing, and I was definitely hot under the collar. I love it so much. There is actually a long distance element of this story as well, which I really appreciated. And some of these quotes have stuck with me, and to find that in like a smutty adult romance is just not typical in my opinion. But yeah, I am definitely going to be reading this again soon, highlighting, tabbing, annotating, and just loving the hell out of it. But it also makes me hot under the collar. Next is Deeper Love, and that's a book, the more times you read it, the more you fall in love with it. And I've gone for Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett. This is definitely my favourite Jen Bennett book. I go between this and Alex approximately, but this has to be my favourite. This is about Zori and Lennon. It's a friends and enemies to lovers story. Kind of friends to enemies to lovers, who really knows, but it's just such a fun time. I've tabbed it, there are quite a few little tabs in here, and it's great. So it's the kind of idea is that they're like Romeo and Juliet. It doesn't hurt that their families are the modern day Californian version of the Montagues and Capulets, but when a group camping trip goes south, Zori and Lennon find themselves stranded in the wilderness, alone together. What could go wrong? With no one but each other for close company, they have no choice but to hash out their issues via witty jabs and insults as they try to make their way to safety. But fighting each other while also fighting off the forces of nature makes getting out of the woods in one piece less and less likely. I absolutely love this, and I think this is probably one of the books that sticks out in my mind as having quite a lot of safe sex discussions, which I really appreciate in YA because I feel like it's skipped over so many times, but it's definitely highlighted in here, and I think Jen Bennett is great at that overall. But this is one that I can constantly reread and even just read parts of it and just love it so much. Then we have If I Fall, and the prompt is what is a new favourite book, which is one I don't actually have a physical copy of but would really love to own, and that is Verity by Colleen Hoover. I read this in January, I believe, and it is a romance thriller which blows my mind. The whole way through I was absolutely loving it. I couldn't help but keep turning the pages on my Kindle, so clicking it, but I just couldn't help but keep reading. I loved it so much, and the reveal at the end blew my mind. I will not stop recommending this book to people. I had such an amazing time with it, and I want to read it again to pick up on the reveal as we go through. It's just so good. I haven't really said much of what it's about. I do like to go into thrillers completely blind, so I wouldn't want to spoil them for anyone else. But this is about, let's just say, a woman who is approached by the husband of an author who has been in a terrible accident and cannot continue writing her world famous series. So our main character is brought in to finish that series. It's amazing. Next is Death Do Us Part, and that is a book that got you into reading so much that you never looked back. I've gone for Glass Houses by Rachel Kane. This is the first book in the Morganville Vampire series, which is a 15-book long series. And I'm currently rereading them actually, but this is one, I haven't actually still got my original copy because it was a mass market paperback, the spine was broken, the pages were falling out, so I did get myself a full normal sized copy with an intact spine. This is just such an amazing time. This story follows Claire, who is 16, but she's so intelligent that she's already ready to go to university. Her parents don't want her to go far because she's so young. They want her somewhere close where they can still access her and check she's okay. So she goes to Texas Prairie University, I think it's called, which is in the town of Morganville. Morganville is a town run by vampires, and when you enter the town, you cannot leave. Everybody knows, apart from the college kids, that the town is run by vampires. You have protectors, where you pay for their protection in a blood tax so that you cannot be attacked on the street. But the college students are kind of oblivious to this. They are outside of the rules, and Claire finds herself getting mixed up into the town. Love it. If you want trashy vampires and you haven't read this series yet, just please give it a go. My legs have gone numb. Next is Nervous, an intimidating book that is currently on your TBR, and I'm going to copy Rachel for this. We have A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. We are doing a buddy read for this though in June, which we'll be announcing really soon. I'm not sure when we're doing it yet. But this is an absolute whopper of a book. I have heard that it's made everybody cry. There are so many words on each page that I just don't even want to look at them. But we're going to be reading this over a 2-week period, and I really hope we can do it. I don't know anything about this because the back doesn't even have a description. I haven't read a description for this. I just want to read it. I really don't know much, but I'm going to do it. Next is Selfish, a book you can't live without, and it has to be Twilight. Apart from Glass Houses, Twilight is what got me into reading. This is my original copy. The apple isn't even red anymore. Like, this is damaged, but I cannot tell you how much I love this book. I don't actually care about all the problems with it. I just love it. It's such a comfort read for me, and I found if I'm ever down, I can just dip into a chapter of Twilight and that sorts my mood out straight away. It's just so comforting to me, and if someone said you had to give up Twilight and never read it again, I would be distraught. And finally we have Dangerous, a guilty pleasure book. And I will definitely agree with Victoria from what Victoria read here. I don't think any books are guilty pleasures. I don't think we should feel guilty for anything we're reading. Reading is reading, and it's just important that we're enjoying ourselves and enjoying the experience of reading. Saying that though, I have got a book that, again, this could have been Den of Vipers, but I have a book that I don't recommend to people because it is pretty disgusting, but I love it. And that is The Girl in 6E by A.R. Torr. This is a really, really graphic thriller. As it says, this year's most shocking thriller. This is about Deanna, I never know how to pronounce the name, who thinks that she has a serial killer gene. She is convinced that if anybody sees her in person, she will just kill them. So how she's dealing with this is living in her apartment 6E and never leaving. To make money, she works as a cam girl, and then she orders everything to her front door. Saying that, there is a lot of descriptions about the cam girl stuff, which is probably why I would not recommend this to people, because I don't want to put anyone through things they're not uncomfortable with. There are things about different fantasies, different things that people might enjoy. There are text sessions of like a group when she's performing on the webcam and men are talking back to her, and we get some of that interaction. We get very graphic descriptions of what she's doing to herself on the webcam. And it's just so fun. I absolutely love it. This book is one that I will keep revisiting and keep reading. But it's one that I try not to push down people's throat because people may be uncomfortable with the subject matter in this, but I absolutely love it. There is more of a plot to this. Deanna is talking to somebody who likes her to dress up as a younger girl and act sort of childish, and she starts getting warning signs and decides to do something about it. So those are all the prompts. My feet are completely numb. I don't think I can tell you how numb they are. I'm in a lot of pain. So I'm going to wrap this up quickly. I haven't actually tagged anyone in this just because I don't know who likes Nick Jonas. It feels like such a specific thing. But if you have listened to this album, if you've loved it, if you just want to support Rachel like I did, then please do give this tag a go and let me know down in the comments if you have done it so that I can come and check it out and highlight it to Rachel as well. So thank you very much for watching this video. I really do hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.